Hi everyone, this is Darren Hunter here from Inspired Growth Training, and we have Deniz and also our guest today, Dave Skow. Welcome to the PM Growth Experts Show, Dave. It's been a long time coming. You are definitely one of the biggest hitters that we have seen on the circuit, just for our viewers, before we go on, just want to give a big shout out for our exclusive partners, myconnect.com.au. And one of my favorite sayings is, if you're not with MyConnect, if you're not direct with MyConnect, then you're dealing direct with the power company when it comes to utility connections. Now, Dave, you're working with MyConnect in your office. What's one of the things that you really like about MyConnect that works for you?
We switched from MyConnect actually from another connection provider about 3 years ago after some less than satisfactory experiences. Mainly to do with gas connections in Wagga is a little bit of an anomaly in our local market. And MyConnect were able to bridge that gap, I suppose, really easily, and we've had nothing but a good relationship with them since. We've got an account manager that, even though we're out in the sticks in the middle of nowhere, we see our account manager at least a couple of times a year, 3 or 4 times a year when he calls in. So that personal connection, we really like that.
Okay, well done. So just about Dave Skow. Now, Dave is certainly legendary in Australian property management. Dave runs a property management specialist business in a small, well, not really a small country town. It's a country town called Wagga Wagga in New South Wales. Now, Dave, you started a number of years ago, but some of your stats are quite awesome. Currently, you've got 600 properties under management. You have grown 800 or signed up 800 managements in 4 years, so you've had a little bit of attrition there.
Yep.
But that's in a town of only 75,000. That's a lot of bragging rights there.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a really good success story, actually, Wagga Property Management. We're in a town where there's between 6,000 and 7,000 rental properties at any given point. The majority of those are managed by agencies. So we've really been able to carve out at least a 10% market share within that first 4 years. So, yeah, it's been good.
That's really good. PM only as well. PM only.
Yeah, so we've done it from scratch without the backing of a sales business, I suppose. So it's all been natural, organic, property management only growth.
Now, Deniz, before you take over, Deniz, your bragging rights are that you did 900 new managements in 4 years. Dave did 800 in 4 years without a sales team. What have you got?
No, that's right. Absolutely massive numbers. But Dave also started from zero. I started at 240 under the bag. So, you know, it's just huge numbers what Dave's done. I think that's just phenomenal. And it really surprises me that no one else, I mean, you've been in business of over 4 years and there's still no other property management only business in the area.
Yeah, that was probably always my biggest concern, is how long are we going to be the only, and how much time and effort do we put into marketing ourselves as being the only property management specialist, knowing full well that one day someone would probably challenge us at that and we'd have to change all that marketing stuff, and we were prepared for that. But yeah, it hasn't happened yet. So we're now 4.5 years in and it hasn't happened. So hopefully it might help. Maybe people are too scared to do it at all now. So hopefully with a bit of luck.
Just keep dominating so you scare the living daylights out of them and then they won't come.
Yeah, that's the aim.
Yeah, excellent. So Dave, why did you actually join real estate? Like what got you into real estate in the first place?
Well, it's the only thing I've ever done, actually. I was straight into my first job straight out of finishing the HSC. So at 18, I started as the office boy for a small sales-only office here in Wagga. It was just something that was always of interest. I think I was never going to go to uni. I wasn't very studious at school. Not to say that I was stupid, but I just didn't apply myself very well. And so it was always going to be getting into work. I had done a week's work experience at another agency a couple of years before when I was in year 10. And yeah, it was just, and as a typical 18-year-old male, I thought sales was king and I wanted to be a salesman like all these other salesmen, getting around, spending their weekends talking to people and driving nice cars and whatever else. So that was where it all started, I suppose, but before I had any experience anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I used to have a lot of people say, Deniz, go into sales, you do really well at it. And I went, well, I'm not interested in, I had a small family, a young family, and I didn't want to work on those Saturdays.
Yeah,
I
sure.
don't have to do, all the Saturdays, etc. And I was happy just to win that business in the property management side. So did you venture into, like, you've done other, it's not just the office that you've got, but you've also done some experience in real estate training?
Yeah, that's right. So after that first job, which I was in for almost 3 years, just before I turned 21, I moved to Sydney and was in Sydney for about 7 years and had a couple of jobs there. One was teaching the real estate certificate of registration course and the CPD training for the Real Estate Institute in Sydney. And then I was also doing some franchise management work for one of the franchise groups in their Sydney head office as well.
Yeah, excellent. So when did you finish working with Real Estate Institute in New South Wales?
Well, I stayed on with them as a contract trainer. So I was a full-time trainer there for a start.
Yeah.
I actually started out when I was very first in Sydney in the office in their education unit, handling the compliance around CPD training. CPD training at the time had only just come in. It was a very new thing. Yeah. And then the education and training manager there, her name's Paula Irvine, who's a New South Wales industry stalwart. She, thought that I would make a decent trainer. And actually the first training session that I did was a CPD course because someone had a car accident on their way into the REI to teach that day. And I had been studying the subject and I knew everything that I needed to know, but had never, ever stood in front of a classroom of people. And I absolutely shit. But
yeah, I did my certificate for those guys back in 2008, and all the trainers said that I was going to get into sales, and I went, no chance. I love property management, but didn't realise what a BDM was because they weren't even talking that back then. So tell us a little bit about your office. Tell us about so we know that you're PM only, but have you got your office set up in your area?
So I made the conscious decision when we first opened to actually have an office space. So we leased a small office premises in the main street. Wagga's a very conservative town. It's a very old country values kind of town. So to have sort of real credibility, you need to have an office. It's not metropolitan enough where there's mobile agents and all the rave now, which I don't disagree with at all. But for us, the decision was to have an office. And it was just me at the start. So for the first, and I had aspirations that hopefully we could, I could grow 100 managements a year. That was the aim. And by the time I got to 100 managements, 120 managements, I'd look at putting the first staff member on and all that. But we hit 100 managements within the first 6 months. So just after 6 months, actually in July, we opened in January, and in July, we hit 100. So all of a sudden I'd gone from really just being a BDM looking to grow and expand a business to now managing 100 properties with ingoings and outgoings and the complexities that come with tenancy. So 95% of my day was then as a property manager and 5% was a BDM. So that quick growth very quickly dropped off because there was no BDM activity. So it had to change. So that's when I employed the first staff member. And from there, we've grown and grown. We're now a team of 8. We run a portfolio system. So each of our tenancy managers run a portfolio of properties themselves, which is capped. And for us, that magic number has worked out to be about 180 properties. We've got 95% of our properties within a 10-minute drive of the office. So it's nothing for us to be able to do half a dozen routine inspections before lunchtime.
I think it's good, Dave, you said the magic number because, people always ask how many properties can a property manager manage? And it's like, depends. And, my answer to that always is, the right number is happy property managers, happy clients, happy boss, or happy profit margin. As long as you've got that sorted, the 3 happies, it doesn't matter about your numbers. They're very individual and very unique. So well done for working out your magic number.
Yeah, thanks, mate. And it really was a bit of trial and error, and it really was our magic number. I'm not saying that it works for everyone. The way that we've got it set up where our tenancy managers aren't doing any leasing, they're not doing any accounts, may mean that they can manage more than someone that is doing leasing. It's, as I said, it's Wagga Property Management's magic number around 180. It keeps me happy because there's a bit of a profit margin in it. It keeps our landlords happy because the job's being done, and the staff are happy because they're not.
You got someone else doing leasing and you're doing the BDM, which is really good too as the boss. I mean, that in itself is amazing, very strong point of difference to sit in front of a client and say, hey, I'm the boss. My team deals with me, the buck stops with me. I think that's very effective than dealing with an agency down the road where the property manager gets sent out and who's got a boss that doesn't even care about property management.
Yeah, exactly right. And as Dennis alluded to before, the skill set between being a really good property manager and being a really good BDM are miles apart. They're chalk and cheese. And I am under no disillusions that I'm not a real good property manager at all. I'm not good at the ingoings and the outgoings and the handling repairs and maintenance and dealing with tenants and landlords as much as I am good at going out and convincing someone that we're the best option for them to engage.
Well done. And on that, Dave, it's a good subject. A lot of people will be thinking right now, well, but then the owner says, I want you to manage my property.
Yeah. So you've just got to have a very good streamlined process from handing from BDM to tenancy manager, or BDM leasing manager, tenancy manager, however you've got it set up. And again, it's a little bit of trial and error to get it right, but once you've got that in process, there's no arguments, there's no complaints.
Yeah, which is good. I used to just look them in the eye and say, trust me, you don't want me managing your property.
Yeah, exactly right. Same with me. I'm not
see my desk. I mean, no. So Dave, how many have you grown in the last 12 months? Magic number of listings this in the last 12 months?
202. 12 months to date. Yeah.
Wow,
I've always looked at calendar years just because we opened on the 16th of January. So it was really easy for us to see 2014, 15, 16, 17, what we've done. But for the purpose of today's video, I knew that you were going to ask me. So I thought I'd better get some current information. Yeah, 202. So we did 202 for the 2017 calendar year. But if we look at 19th of July to 19th of July, 202.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so now I know this is quite fresh for you, but now knowing what you've just been handed the keys to your office, and you're about to start, your Wagga property management, and Dave Skow taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, what advice do you give yourself before you go in there and start your first day?
Near enough is quite often good enough. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and I find that striving for perfection can hold me back. And I think that I've seen this with a number of other people that I've spoken to and that I speak to often within the property management community, that they're waiting for the right time, or they're waiting until everything is perfect. And Kathy Crampton said it at the conference 2 weeks ago, that 70% perfect is perfect. And that really resonated with me, because I think that you can lose momentum or lose opportunity or not grasp opportunity quick enough if you're waiting for that right time all the time. Yeah, so that's probably the biggest piece of advice I would have given myself had I have known what I know now.
Yeah, which is good. So if you were to start from scratch tomorrow, then, like you're starting now, what would be your 3 key, growth strategies that you'd put in place?
Network is probably 1, 2, and 3. Network is definitely number 1. For us, the repeat business we get and the referral business that we get makes up the absolute bulk of new business inquiries that we receive. There's probably very few now, because we of a certain size, and as well as being a BDM, I've also got business operational responsibilities, which takes time.
Yeah.
I probably don't do as much active cold call prospecting and active BDM stuff. We have marketing in place, and we certainly foster that referral relationship, but we're still doing the same numbers. So it's obvious to me anyway that the networking that we've had in place now from day one still reaps rewards, still pays dividends as time goes on. So,
yeah, it's a really good tip. And I've got to say, Dave, it's possibly one of the biggest struggles that I find trying to educate BDMs or a property manager that's doing BDM to do, because it's out of their core. You're the business owner, and a lot of people go, oh, but it's easy for a business owner. But take the business owner hat off. You're the BDM still.
Yeah, that's right.
And trying to get a BDM, obviously you just brought up the conference. The top 4 BDMs at the conference and the panel speakers, they all spoke about being part of a BNI. They all spoke about going to network meetings. There was a common theme there.
Yeah,
which is really, really important. So that's a good one. So what would be, out of 80% of all of your leads coming in, if we were to look at, your top 80%, where would the 3 main strategies be that are bringing in 80% of that business?
So it's coming in by way of warm referral from other service providers. So we maintain really good relationships and continual relationships that we don't let go stale. So we're constantly in front of people. We're constantly communicating with people that have access to potential investors. In New South Wales particularly, and I believe in a lot of the other states, it's actually really hard to prospect for landlords, because you can't, unlike salespeople, you can't just pick up the phone and hope that you get a landlord owner on the other end, and you can't just knock on the door and speak to a landlord. So to be able to sell your wares to a landlord, the easiest way to do that is by having the landlord call us, and the ones that we want calling us are the ones that have been told to call us, because our job is already half done. If we've got someone that they trust, like their financial advisor or their mortgage broker or the solicitor, tells them, look, this is who you need to go and speak to about managing the property, this is who we recommend you speak to, your job's nearly done. You've really just got to sell them on the benefit at the end, and they're the really easy ones to list. And that's also why our conversion rate is so high. So our conversion rate sits at 93%. So 93% of the people that we speak to, sign with us. And it really is because more often than not, they're coming to us very warm. They're not cold leads at all.
So can I just throw something there at you, Darren? You know, I mean, you've heard it. We were in the United States training, and I had that lady sitting in the front row telling me she's listing 100%. And I'm like rolling my eyes, but you've got to be nice at these people. You get all these BDMs, they tell you they're getting 100%. Dave is, if not one of the best BDMs you're ever going to meet, and he's saying that he doesn't win them all. You know,
well, I'd be disappointed if you got. I'll be disappointed if you got all business, because we know that 10%, 20% of that are rubbish clients. You're just heading for a real problem if we're signing up all business. We only want good, profitable business. That's what we've got to be focused on and getting as much as we can.
Yeah. About 90%, I really should clarify that we don't count the ones that we politely decline the opportunity to work for. So if we counted that, we'd probably only list 50%, because we get a lot of phone calls from people that they're either very C-class landlords or they're C-class properties, or we think that they're going to attract C-class tenants, and we work with A's and B's. More A's than B's. There's room in our business for B's. Not everyone's going to be an A-grade client, but we're not in the business. We're not interested in dealing with.
Spot on. Next time you're in Nowra, I'll take you for a drive of the streets I wasn't allowed to list in, or the property managers would have my head.
We've got a map in our office, mate, that has got 4 patches that are highlighted, and they're the no-go zones.
I did list it. We had an investor, they purchased a property in Quick Match Street, and it's one of the queues that I keep talking about, Darren, of not being allowed.
The streets, that you've blacklisted.
They're the 3 queues in Nowra, and they had gutted the whole place, beautiful polished floorboards, brand new kitchen, the lot. And he was expecting to get, $300 a week back then. And I had to say, look, it's $200. It still took us, I'm going to say, almost 3 months to find a tenant, because you've got to be strict on who you put in. And still at the first routine, the property, it was like it'd been lived in for 2 years.
Yeah.
It was then I said, okay, well, maybe I really can't list in the street. It didn't matter, even how strict we were. But anyway, okay. So Dave, the bank rings you up Monday morning. You've turned up to work, and they basically said, Dave, if you don't list 10 properties by Friday close of business, dude, I'm shutting your doors. What do you do?
I would call every one of those 7% in the last 4 years that I've lost, and hope that I catch them on a day where they're not happy with the decision that they made 2, 3, 4 years ago. And I would also call every one of our owners, because I'm under no disillusions that we've got owners that have properties listed elsewhere, and we know that they have actively told us that for whatever reason. But I would beg, steal and borrow and tell them that our business was on the line if they didn't give me another couple, and we would get 10 that way. I'd have 10 within the hour.
Yeah, excellent. Well done. That's what I like to hear.
You actually tell them, you put their business on the line. You highball them.
Yeah, exactly right.
Wow. Okay, that's great. Alrighty, moving on. Let's talk about fees. And Dave, there's no secret that you would have cheaper competitors right down the road. And so the owner is only going to try and play the game of negotiation. As they do, people get excited with real estate because you're on commission, therefore your fees are negotiable, and the same owner would not negotiate on a meal down at McDonald's, or they wouldn't negotiate on something down at Kmart, but they're going to negotiate with you. So how do you deal with, Dave, if you can match the management fee with the other agent down the road, we'll go with you. How do you deal with that?
I've always believed that if we instill in people the thought that they need us more than we need them, that we are in a much stronger position to defend our fee. And so I'm quite happy to walk away from new business, knowing that we're getting enough new business elsewhere, I'm quite happy to walk away from new business where it's not on our terms. And quite often, more often than not, way more often than not, that's enough for people to turn around and say, well, yeah, actually, you're still our number one choice. It was worth an ask. If you're not going to do it, we're still going to come with you anyway. People won't tell you that at the time. And I'm bad for it now. I'm in the process of looking at selling a property and have been interviewing agents. And I've been a real bastard and come out and said, can you match the fee? Can you do that? But at the end of the day, and I hope this person's not watching, but at the end of the day, we've made up our mind who we'll list with, and we will pay them whatever they ask us to be paid, really, because that's who we want to deal with. They're the ones that we've that have demonstrated the best that they're the person for the job, and they're the ones that we want to have a relationship with. So, as much as we ask, and from a consumer point of view, it's been a real eye opener to think, well, this is what I deal with every day, and this is why people are asking, and it's in their best interest to ask. But that's not the be all and end all. And if it is the be all and end all, fine, that's fine.
What's your script? I mean, I'm an owner. I've just asked you to match your fee. What do you say to me as the owner? What's your script?
Darren, we manage about 600 properties, and it wouldn't be fair of me on those 600 landlords that we already deal with to agree to do business with you at 6.6% when they're all paying 8.8%. It's the same level of service that we provide to you as we provide to them, and it just wouldn't sit well with me. It's not ethically right for me to be able to do that for you. So we have worked out our fee schedule to ensure that we're running profitably so that we can keep providing our clients with the best possible service, and that's why our fees are set the way they are. And I can understand if you don't want to pay that, and there's absolutely no hard feelings if that's the case, but we have to insist that our fee schedule stands as it is.
Well done.
And I can see in your eyes you've got conviction and you believe that, which means you will walk away. I can see that.
Yeah,
you will walk away if you don't get that. So well done. And that in itself
is being happy to walk away. That's probably the biggest thing that I always stress to people when I get asked about the fee question is be happy to lose it. Be happy to not get the business.
Yeah, be happy to lose it like it. It's music to my ears. We don't have to get the business. We got to get.
Usually the ones that are going to make a decision based on $3, $4, $5 a week, which is usually all it ever is, are also the ones that are not going to be happy paying $3, $4, $5 a week to ensure the maintenance of the property is upkept. And we've all heard that before, but that really...
Very well said. There's a meme there, Darren. There's a meme there.
And there's something else coming up, Dave, that you're not ready for, because I know you've been given a list of questions, but you haven't been given this one. Are you ready? We're standing in a coffee shop and you're in a line. And, someone in the line, you've only got 60 seconds, but someone in the line says, hey, well, why should we use your service over the other agent down the road? 60 seconds, Dave. How do you answer that one? Now, we know we've seen you do this, but I'd like you to repeat your, your coffee line chat in 60 seconds.
Yeah, sure. So at Wagga Property Management, we operate a little bit differently, whereby property management is our sole focus. And because it's our sole focus and it is our bread and butter, we don't have another income stream to rely on like the typical agencies where sales is king and property management is just a byproduct. We need to make sure that we do property management really well. We've also grown really quickly, and we're standouts in our field across Australia in terms of rent roll growth, and that's because the people that we're working with are really happy with the levels of service that we're being provided. Most of our business comes to us by way of referral because people are happy to endorse the service that we give. So you could look at other options. We're not the cheapest by far. We're also not the most expensive in our marketplace, would you believe? But we are the ones that do the absolute best job.
Well done. Well done, mate. That's great. I knew you would pull that one off, but you weren't expecting that one, so well done.
I said it about an hour and a half ago because I had exactly that phone call.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So you're all warmed up anyway. So,
and just to clarify for everyone, we had a 14-day video challenge that David actually won on that script, and the poor guy, I think you woke up at 11 o'clock at night and you had the man flu and you still nailed it out.
You did?
Yeah, I was so sick. I felt so sick. And I woke up in the horrors thinking, oh, shit, I've got until midnight to get that video done. I haven't done it. I'm not going to miss this one. It was the last out of the 14 days. The 14-day video challenge was horrific and horrendous. And I would get home at night thinking, oh, I haven't done this video for today yet. What am I going to talk about today? Bloody Deniz putting this friggin' challenge, blah, blah, blah. So I had 13 out of 14 done. I was definitely not going to miss that 14.
Mate, look out for the next one. That's all I'm going to say. I'll let you go to your next question, Darren.
Well, okay, so let's talk about your points of difference. Clearly, you're a property management only business. You're a BDM and boss. There's another point of difference. What are some other point of difference that you use to win the business, to impress, that you maybe haven't covered yet?
We have really drilled down on different aspects of our service offering to identify what we do better, and what we do differently to the 12 or 13 other agencies that could be competing for that same piece of business. So we know what our strengths are versus their weaknesses. And some of the things, and they're little things. They're little things like the fact that we undertake to carry out 4 routine inspections a year, where in our market it seems like the norm is 2 routine inspections a year. And we sell the benefits of that to the landlord. And I think that you can sell the benefits of your offering any way that you want. Just like the person down the road could sell the benefits of only doing 2 as opposed to 4 because it costs the owner less, or whatever it might be that we do differently. We also invest heavily in marketing and also in our leasing side of things. So we're one of a few agents. There are a couple of others, but it's not the norm to have a dedicated leasing manager. Our dedicated leasing manager is available for inspections for prospective tenants all the way up to 6 o'clock every night of the week. We hear all the time that tenants get frustrated that a tenancy manager or a property manager will put in place an appointment or schedule a leasing inspection at 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and there's no flexibility around that, whereas our leasing procedure is much more flexible and much more tenant friendly. And we sell the benefits of that to the landlord because it means that our days on market, literally 19 days versus the market average of 37. That's yesterday's stat. I just looked that up for currency. It also means that we don't often refer to our vacancy rate, and we much prefer to refer to our occupancy rate. So our occupancy rate at the moment is 98.74, 76%, something like that.
Nice.
So our vacancy rate, and conversely, our vacancy rate's about 1.25%, 1.5%.
So I'll add a script for you. So what's the average rent of the properties that you've got, just roughly across the board?
325.
So 325, you divide that by 7, times that by 11. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith, just by listing with Wagga Property Management, on average, will save you $510 because we're leasing properties 11 days faster than our rivals.
Yep, that's right.
That's great.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
That's good. I mean, that $511 is better than 1% discount.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's nearly 2%.
Fees are $10 a week different. Yeah, that's right.
It's nearly 2% on the management fee, which is just crazy. Yeah. So, David, I mean, you're into a flow of things. You're doing all your BDM along with your GM and running the staff, etc. But what KPIs or key performance indicators or what tasks have you got in place for yourself to continually have those? What are some examples of those things that you've got to bring in business still?
So my personal KPIs are all around growth and around the BDM function that I undertake. And it drills down into what activities I get involved in on a monthly basis to foster that growth. So how many people that I'm speaking to, how many networking meetings or functions outside of the office am I attending to meet with people, how many people am I adding to our prospective owner database, things like that. So I keep myself accountable on those micros, I suppose. Excuse me. On a broader level, we're looking at retention and seeing why we're losing business, where business is going, if we've lost it at the listing opportunity, but then also where we're losing management at the tail end. So to date, out of all those managements, so we're at 616 at the moment, 617 at the moment. We have listed probably almost 900 by the time I would have to do the numbers, but that 330 odd that we've lost, sometime had managed and now no longer manage. Apart from three individual properties, they've all been lost by way of natural attrition. We've had landlords move back in, landlords sell are the main two, children moving back from university, whatever it might be. And there have only been 3 instances where we've had people leave because we've dropped the ball, because something hasn't been done, their expectations haven't been met. And that kills me. I know exactly what 3 they are. I can tell you the 3 addresses straight off the top of my head. But again, I need to reconcile that we're never going to please everyone. We're never going to get everything right 100% of the time. So,
well done. And that's all about that perfection, isn't it? That we can't. It's just too difficult in this job. We're juggling 500, 1,000 balls. One is going to drop from time to time, and we can't punish ourselves over that. You can do your best job, and they're still going to hate you. They're still going to give you a bad review on Google or Facebook or whatever. It's just the world that we live in. You just got to do your very best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Darren, that 3 hurts. Okay, I get it.
Still freaking hurts, but yeah. And look, I know under no disillusions that 3 will soon become 4 and 5 and 6 over the years. So I've made.
It's still an amazing number considering the 4+ years you've been in business, Dave.
Yeah, especially when I consider that we've probably at least 10 times, maybe even 15 times that we've lost because we've chosen to lose them. Like, we're not scared to sack landlords that don't comply. We've got one at the moment who is very much on the brink because they want their tenant to leave because it's not clean enough. The tenant does a pretty good job. She's a bloody shift worker. She's got a couple of kids. The place is always pretty neat. It's just expectations here and reality here. And
That's sort of people. My advice to them is keep the property empty, send in someone to dust it down from time to time, send in the gardener, and just don't rent it out.
Yeah, and miss that $280 a week that you're currently getting paid for it. Idiot.
Yeah, it's interesting. I used to, what I started to do is, as a tip, Dave, because I used to turn it into an interview with the owner. So if they were asking me a question, they'd say, "Oh, what's this $1,500 pre-approved maintenance limit?" And I would turn around because it used to be 200 when I first started, and I just popped it up without even talking and asking my boss. Yeah. All of a sudden, it was at 1,500 because I used that as a tool to. Well, Dave, the reason why it's $1,500 is, we need to be able to keep that tenant in the property as long as we can. And they go, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I need to ensure that you're not going to be an owner that's going to complain about us having to do maintenance on the property when it comes available. So, at all times, we will call you, we'll text you, we'll email you, we'll do whatever we can to get some works done. But if it comes to the afternoon and it's a Friday and you haven't contacted us back, we don't want the tenants going out and doing the maintenance themselves or wanting to leave. So we will go ahead and do the works."
Yeah, that's a good point.
Then I would also then turn around and say, this is like an interview. I've got an interview to see if you're going to be an owner that is going to do maintenance when it's needed, because I'm the one sitting next to the property managers that get off the phone and yell at me because you won't do the work.
Yeah, good point.
So it turned it around, and that's on the front page of the agreement, as you know.
Yeah.
So because we used to use the Real Estate Institute of New South Wales agreement, so it really puts you in good stead as well. So yeah. So Dave, what's your next goal? So what's your goal over the next 12 months for growth for the business?
We want to continue at that rate of 200 gross, at least 200 gross managements per year. And we're on track to do that again this year, which is good. I've probably got some other targets now in terms of profitability. So we're now at a point where we've always recruited for growth. So we've always recruited early so that we can keep service levels high. But that has always been at the detriment of our bottom line. So our profitability or our net profit has always been.
So Dave, I just want to encourage you. You said before you're not the most expensive in town. My question to you is why not?
Yeah,
because you know that you're offering the best service in town. It makes sense then you need to be the most expensive. It will make no difference at all to your sign-up rate whatsoever because you got that strong, we are worth this because. You can look someone in the eye and walk away. It won't make any difference, but it's going to make a massive difference to your bottom line. So maybe we need to do a call outside of the show, but you can move up to that level. And I'm surprised you're actually cheaper than someone else in town. It surprises me.
Yeah. There is another agent in town that would work out to be more expensive by the time they offer a package like a no-let fee, management fee breakup. It's an all-inclusive fee, which I've calculated is higher than our average annual management income per property.
And they might not be doing all of the same services as what you're doing, but they're still charging it. They might only do 2 routines, you're doing 4, anyway, that's cool.
So Dennis, you've got one more question, I think.
No, it's over to you, buddy.
You've done the KPIs?
I've done the KPIs, mate.
You're ahead of me then, that's fine. All right, last question. Dave, so you did actually speak at the Inspire Growth Conference. What can I say? You had a rating of 9.3 out of 10 out of 120 evaluations that were done with people in the crowd. So, really well done. But let's say you're back on stage again, you're speaking to a massive crowd of business owners and BDMs and some property managers, and you've got 1 minute. What's your most important message that you'll give to them in 60 seconds?
Invest. invest in staff, invest in good marketing, invest in yourself in terms of personal development and training, invest in good coaching and mentorship, invest in everything. Don't try and skimp out. I think that I've seen, and I can still currently see, there's a lot of businesses trying to emulate the success that we've achieved. And then when I speak to them, it's very apparent why they're not reaching the same levels. And it's usually because they're not that they have to invest money. It doesn't have to be all about the dollar either. It's also about time. There's a lot of people that try and do this half-assed and maybe do it as a bit of a, oh, I want to be able to work from home and have flexibility, so I only want to work 25 hours a week or whatever, which is fine, but you can't expect the same level of success or the same level of growth as someone that's doing 50 or 60 hours a week. And not that I work 50 or 60 hours a week now, but I have at the very start. It was a hard slog. So you've got to be prepared to put in that effort to invest. Invest is my big tip.
Yeah, great tips. There's no silver bullet when it comes to, any success stories unless you invented Coca-Cola.
Yeah, yeah. And that is my most favourite quote ever. And I remember sitting in my principal's office, and my principal told me this when I was in trouble one day when I was in year 11, is that quote from Vince Lombardi, and I used it on stage a couple of weeks ago at a conference, that's the only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. Hard work is the price we must pay for success. And that has been ingrained in my mind since I was 16 years old. And Mr. Buckley, Brian Buckley, who I hated at the time, and I don't even know if he's still alive, but I've got him to thank for that, because that, it really was a turning point in my adolescence, I think.
Alrighty, so just before we finish up, Dave, if people want to contact you, what's the best way? What's your email?
Dave at Wagga PM, so it's WAGGA, Wagga PM.com.au, or reach out on Facebook or LinkedIn. I get message requests there all the time. Happy to chat.
Well done. Thank you. Great interview, Dave. Lots of meaty stuff in there to help people. You're really generous with your information. Again, thank you so much for your speaking at our Inspire Growth Conference. It just took it to a whole new level, gives us that credibility that we need. And just thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Awesome session, Dave. Make sure you let us know that once you've signed the contract with the sales agent, then we'll release this recording.
Yeah, no worries.
But look, again, mate, you can truly see the value that you've got and you're giving your clients, and it really does come out. Your passion for the industry is awesome. So thank you again for being part of this.
Thanks, mate. Good on you. Thanks, guys.
Take care. Thank you.